Swampfire, it's Swampfire. Of course, my first choice is Swampfire. All day, every day, it's Swampfire, okay? It's Swampfire. You got me.
Swampfire!
Hey folks, Kuro the Artist here. Y'all click this video so you know what you're in for. We are building the perfect Ben 10 playlist. If you're unfamiliar with the term playlist,
The Omnitrix's menus are arranged in sets of 10 for simplicity's sake.
Alien DNA scanned and recognized, unlocked and available on playlist 5.
so yeah, it's just how the Omnitrix categorizes and stores DNA. So how are we gonna make the perfect playlist? Well, y'all know me. I came up with a list of rules and regulations to keep us in line, so hear me out. The first criteria, which is probably the most obvious one, is that the powers of the aliens need to be balanced. We got like 6 electric guys, a handful of speedsters, and practically every other alien has some form of super strength. So while power overlap is inevitable, I want to choose the aliens where I get the widest and most versatile options for abilities as I can. My second rule might be a little bit controversial, but this is the kind of stuff I think about. And it's an angle I don't believe most people consider. In this hypothetical scenario where I get the Omnitrix, I'm still gonna be me, right? Like, I'm not Ben Tennyson. I am not in his world. The Omnitrix is coming to my world, and I'm getting to watch during my everyday life in this reality. Meaning my alien choices should reflect how I actually use them here in our real world. Like, I'm not worried about Vilgax enslaving the planet or trying to fight an army of D and aliens. I'm paying off a mortgage and fighting a Red Bull addiction. So I'm gonna be choosing aliens that I could actually find some use for in my everyday life. Like, Chromastone is a really cool alien, but his primary ability is absorbing and redirecting energy, and like, when's the last time you've ever been shot by a laser? It just doesn't happen. What am I gonna do, purposefully put myself in front of a nuclear blast just so I could say I survived it? I've never been shot by a laser. Ever. So as much as I like Chromastone, he would be a really poor choice to have in our real world. I'd never use him. Same with Atomics. Like, when am I ever gonna actually need to be Atomics? And for my last rule, I wanna make sure I'm getting the fullest, most fun experience being an alien. I talk about this a lot in my breakdown series, but what does it actually feel like to have 2 extra limbs? What kind of advanced synapses are firing off in my brain to control them? Or what does it physically feel like to melt into a pile of goo? How do I control myself doing that? What happens to my vision? What is it truly like being 6 inches tall? Would I breathe air differently due to the molecules being bigger? Would I even notice? I want to turn into alien simply just to fuck around and see what it feels like to have all these different body types and traverse terrain differently, and I don't know. I want to feel something different than just my standard human form. So my perfect playlist will have balanced powers, real world practicality, and be fun to use. Let's get to it. Anyway, I've had this video idea for a while, but now it's time to actually sit down and put in the work to explain my choices. And if I do that, I need somewhere comfortable to sit. Thankfully, using my extranet link up to our intergalactic database, I've come across the planet LiberNovo, just outside the Andromeda Galaxy. Their planet, populated by the Ergonomicans, made it their life's goal to redefine comfort and produce the ultimate seat that you just can't beat. I've been doing YouTube for a while. As much as I love drawing and making videos, it's really been killing my back lately. So when LiberNovo hooked me up with this dope-ass chair, how could I say no? And of course, I had to get the moss green one just to match my boy Swampfire. I'll rep that smelly green tree till I die, which will most likely be in this chair at this point. But that's fine, because the seat's texture emulates a warm wool and has an abrasion resistance of over 50,000 rubs, which is 49,999 more rubs than I can count. I know y'all can't feel this through the screen, but that's why you gotta cop one yourself so you can experience this firsthand. I'm really fucking with this. The LiberNovo people also put a strong emphasis on ergonomic support, which encourages good posture and a comfortable feel. Finally, you don't have to be a polymorph just to match your chair's shape. Your chair's shape will match to you. You got 4 different recline modes to choose from. So if you want to kick back, you can recline this chair up to 160 degrees.
This feels really good. I could sleep on this.
You just press these buttons here on the armrest to customize your adjustment.
I don't think I knew how much I needed this until now.
So it's great for binging some 5YL episodes when you're done working for the day. Once you're relaxed, you can activate stretch mode, which pushes against your spine, releasing pressure between the discs.
This is really doing it for me.
The battery charges in 3.5 hours, and you can keep the massage system running for up to 30 days. When it's time to get back to work, you can still lean back a bit without losing sight of your screen.
Feel that support? Everything. My lower back, my head, my arms. Everything is taken care of.
You get a 5-year warranty on the frame, 2 years on the electronics, and once good old Zosef Bedge transports your chair to this galaxy, you can build the whole thing in like 15 minutes. No planchicule assistance needed. So follow our link down below, and you're one stop away from your comfort from LiberNovo. All right, like I said, my first choice is Swampfire. How could it not be, right? He's my boy, okay? All right, sure, he's my favorite alien, but let's be real, he fits all of these criteria perfectly. I could use chlorokinesis to grow the perfect garden and save so much money on food. I would never never struggle lighting a campfire again. And I could literally rip my head off, survive, and put it back on. Can you imagine what that would feel like? I'm serious. Picture ripping off your head, holding it in your hands, and then looking back at your body. The fact that my point of view would be out of sync with what I'm used to in my perspective of my body alone is fascinating. I could turn into vine. I could propel myself into the air. I can put my cats to sleep when they wake me up at 4 in the morning. He's literally the perfect alien to get a kick out of when you're in the real world. The only downside is that, well, he smells bad, which matters a lot more in real life than it seems to do in the show. Like when I'm Swampfire, no one's gonna want to be around me, and I get it. So I'd have to use him by myself, but I'm cool with that. My next choice, Echo Echo. Now, before you say anything, no, I'm not just remaking the Alien Force playlist, although you gotta admit they're a pretty solid lineup. But the reason I'm choosing Echo Echo is mainly just for the experience of it. I really want to know what cloning myself would be like, and how I'd interact with other versions of myself. Could we all just sit in silence for 45 minutes and then immediately all blurt out the same string of random words? Would our minds be that much in sync because we're literally the same guy? Or would there be slight changes in thinking patterns based on who is sitting where and what they're looking at? I would just do endless experiments testing if there's any deviations between how my clones think. His sonic abilities would probably rarely get used by me. I just don't see how I could use them without getting sued for expensive property damage. But I'd still choose him over Ditto so that I wouldn't have the weakness of all my clones sharing the same pain. Granted, that weakness seemed to get retconned by Omniverse, but just in case. Echo Echo is the safer choice, and I'd get everything I wanted out of him with basically no risk. Okay, I know I said I'm not just recreating the Alien Force playlist, but hear me out. My next choice is Humongosaur. Alright, then I'm done with the Alien Force playlist, I swear. But be real with me for a second. Wouldn't Humongosaur be such a good choice? He's one of the many super strength aliens, but I like him because he can also grow big, and that's also something I want to know what it feels like. What is it like to suddenly gain a bunch of mass seemingly out of nowhere? Would I feel my skin stretch? Would I feel my bones extending? The armor ripping from my skin? Plus, what's it like to be 60 feet tall? That sounds fascinating. Being as big as way big could be fun, but he's too big for me to really do anything with him. But with Humongosaur, if I'm stuck in traffic, I can get out of my car, turn into Humongosaur, grow to 60 feet, pick up my car, and just walk it further down traffic. Because fuck all of you, I swear to God, some of y'all really need to learn how to drive. I'm not sitting through this shit any longer than I have to. Yard work would be easy. I can just scoop up all the leaves in like 4 handfuls and boom, 2 hours of raking completed in minutes. And I don't know about y'all, but I keep finding myself in situations where I have to help somebody move. I swear I help like 5 people move every year. If I had Humongosaur, I would get that shit done in 30 minutes and call it a day. Now my fourth choice is Alien X. I could enslave humanity, turn pickles into oranges. And I'm kidding. I told y'all I'm done with the Alien Force playlist. Nah, this one was a bit unexpected, but going through all the aliens, I ended up landing on Amphibian as one of my options. He's a great alien, but isn't super popular, and I don't see him on a lot of fan playlists, but he's more than welcome on mine. A big motivator for Amphibian is the fact that he could swim deep underwater, and before y'all, what about Ripjaws me? Amphibian doesn't need water to breathe, so I could use him in the air, land, and sea. I really want to just jump into the ocean and see what I can find and explore, and Amphibian can make that happen. He can also phase through walls and solid objects, which is great when I lock myself out of my car or forget my keys. His mind-reading powers could potentially come in handy, but the fact that I would have to be Amphibian to do that, it would give away to everybody what I'm doing. Like, why would I just turn into Amphibian for no reason? I'm clearly trying to read your mind. And I don't think anybody would trust me not to invade the privacy of their thoughts if they saw I was him, even though I really wouldn't. Honestly, I really don't have an interest in reading minds anyways. Sounds like a dark path you'd never come back from. I'm all set. But transforming into electricity really plays up the physicality alteration that I'm looking for. Simply put, what does it feel like to turn into electricity? How does he see where he's going? I want to know. Put that man in my Omnitrix. Next question. My first classic series entry on this list is one of the most popular aliens of all time, Diamond Head. If you couldn't tell by now, I'm super fascinated by the practicality of shapeshifting, and Diamond Head does this with clunky mineral-like body parts in ways that I want to try out. He's also been shown to get pretty refined with some of his builds, which would really help with home improvement projects. Plus, I could build a shelter anywhere I go if needed. And the off chance I do find myself in danger, he's pretty durable. He's only really been damaged by cosmic forces that just don't exist in our world, so I think my Petrosapien body will be safe here. I do think I'd run into problems if I ever built my crystals in highly populated areas, like when Diamond Head was doing the whole building surfing scene. That would obviously cause a lot of unwanted attention for me, especially now that we're so deep into the smartphone age. It just sounds like a hassle to deal with. So while I'd have to be very careful about where I grow my crystals, I still think he's worth being part of the roster for the experience alone. And in a similar vein of exploring shapeshifting, something? My next choice would be upgrade. Y'all know physicality is my main interest right now, so I'll highlight his other use, which is merging with technology. Not only will that give me endless ways to experience different forms and bodies, but I've always wanted to know what goes through Ben's head when he merges with technology. Sometimes it seems like his upgrades are on purpose and Ben can control what he forms and how he does it. And other times he seems pretty surprised with his results. So I want to know firsthand how voluntary or involuntary these upgrades are. Plus, if y'all follow my video diary series for patrons and YouTube memberships, I am notorious for having computer problems. So having upgraded my watch would be a blessing. I wonder how intricate my abilities would be if I paired with my computer too. Like, could I run Photoshop and draw things in an instant? That would save me so much time. Or video editing, script writing, sending emails. I'd be like ChatGPT, except I wouldn't be killing the planet and stealing artwork. But my tech choices wouldn't stop there, as my 7th choice is another OG, gray matter. I think y'all are getting the hang of where my priorities lie, which is diverse experiences. Super intelligence and being a small size, that's the perfect combination for endless and fascinating fun. Gray matter can also leap pretty high and stick to walls, and with his small size, I could spend hours just parkouring around my house. I'm sure my cats would love it too. I'd have a whole new way to play with them. And with a genius IQ, there is no solution to a problem that I couldn't solve. Yeah, gray matter is a pretty cut and dry choice, so let's tackle my next pick, which is Gravitac. He's a bit of an odd choice. I don't think many of y'all would have seen this coming, as there's not many practical real-world uses for him, but he still seems worth it to me. His gravikinesis is basically telekinesis, which is my favorite superpower of all time, and I'm sure I'd come across many scenarios where it'd be useful, like digging my car out of the block of ice it's currently frozen in. Man, I talk about my car a lot. Who do I think I am?
Kevin?
But if I'm careful, I could also spin my friends around and give them rides. I'm sure they'd get a kick out of it. And honestly, screw my car. I feel like flying around as Gravitac to get places would be the best. I could fly over to the grocery store, buy whatever I need, and just pick it up in my orbit and bring it home. I could save anyone drowning at the beach. I can crush all of my trash into a pressurized sphere to reduce the amount of space it takes. I could be a tow truck if someone's car breaks down. All right, I got 2 slots left, and I still don't have a super speed alien, so I'm gonna pick Fast Track. Now, this isn't just to continue the meme of me preferring Fast Track over Accelerate, but in the real world, I really do think he'd be the better choice. Even if Accelerate is faster, when am I ever gonna need to go that fast? It could be useful, but Fast Track is enough to give me the satisfaction of running at super speed. He also just looks more comfortable to use as opposed to Accelerate's body shape, and as much as I like experiencing new physicality, I got enough aliens on deck already that give me that. And I think I'd prefer using super speed with a much more humanoid shape, plus Accelerate's raptor claws seems like it'd limit the amount of things I could hold or touch, and Fast Track's a big fluffy cat. How can I pass that up? I don't think there's too many reasons I would really need super speed, but it's still a power I'd like to experience. But for travel, I'd still have to know where I'm going, so I can't just run around as Fast Track everywhere. I'd most certainly get lost pretty quickly. I can barely drive without using the GPS, but in short bursts, yeah, seems like a fun time. All right, for my last choice, I wanted to pick some form of a powerhouse alien, but like I said before, way big and atomics just don't have much practical use in the real world, and Alien X, it just doesn't feel right to choose him. I'm pretty big on the preservation of free will and the natural order of events, in big part inspired by Ben's own journey, which became a main highlight for 5-Whale Ben as well. So if I did actually have Alien X, I would just do some menial bullshit like fix anything that breaks in my house or manifest food or just float around a bit, which are all things my previous choices can do. So instead, my final alien is gonna be Clockwork. Particularly his holographic rewind ability is what appeals to me the most. I've been finding the need to retrace my steps more and more as I succumb to my own deliriousness, but with Clockwork, I'll always have a surefire way to refresh my memory on how things played out. And given he can expose events you didn't even have to be there for, it could be fun just going around anywhere and rewinding a couple years just to see what happened. Who dug that random ditch outside of town? Who graffitied this cool mural on the side of the building? Who keeps stealing my fucking mail? Why do I keep losing my rolls of tape before I finish them? And so on and so forth. His time rays could also be useful for clearing passages or just terminating any trash I have. I'm pretty big on trash too, not just car problems. And the whole slow motion thing would be cool. Imagine getting to watch rain fall in slow motion, but not on a YouTube video, like all around you, in person. Or getting up close to wildlife and being able to pause time and retreat if things went south. There's endless possibilities. So in the end, this is my playlist. While it is based around the fun and experiences of becoming an alien in the real world, I also think it makes a solid playlist for Ben to use in the show as well. We got a wide range of powers with a couple of heavy hitters in there. I think if Ben only had these 10 aliens too, he'd be fine. All right, I've been around the block enough. I know y'all have your own playlists lined up already, so share them down below in the comments and let's see what you got.
Huge shout out to Andrew Analik and Percival DeRollo in the ink cartridge tier, and Draculus, Maps, and Epicoso in the ink barrel tier. Y'all are really helping us get done what we need to get done, and we couldn't do it without you. Hope you enjoy what we got planned for the future.
And until then, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. And as always, keep it fizzy.